welcome to Say Your Piece, episode number 48. My name is J-Mar.
My name is Christianne, and today we have a guest, Cyrus, producer,
What
friend.
Hello, hello.
What is up, man?
What up, guys? Man, it's been a while.
Yeah, been
I
a
know
couple
since
years.
we all talked
Yeah,
Mhm.
in
hung
one
out.
room.
Did some work together.
How long has it been, by the way?
Well,
2014, 15?
yeah, 14,
Oh
15.
shit,
Yeah, dang, it's been a
Yeah,
minute.
15 or 14? 15.
15, I think.
I think
6 years.
15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 years. Oh, it's 2021.
Right?
I know.
Damn.
I feel like
Time
we just
is flying.
totally skipped over 2020.
It's the 13th month of 2020, actually.
Yeah.
We said that like that.
Hasn't ended.
What have you been up to since the pandemic?
Oh man, it's crazy. Just with the pandemic, through the pandemic, a lot has changed. One, I kind of went on pause with, well, currently right now I'm a producer in the film industry here in LA. I
Mm-hmm.
can't disclose the company I work for at the moment, but um, actually, as soon as the pandemic hit in March, I kind of went on pause. I went on a hiatus from my company. So I kind of went and started just doing on my own personal projects. So that's what I've been doing, focusing on myself. Sounds kind of cliche. Everybody's focusing on themselves this year, but nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still doing some projects here and there. And then I work on the side with Apple.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You're
Yeah.
allowed to disclose Apple.
Yeah. Apple's cool. They're like, eh.
The other company, not so much.
Is
No,
that
I'm
you
just
better
kidding.
not?
So some of your side projects, is it producing too, or is it directing, or?
Pretty much. I recently did a project. Actually, it was last year, not so recent, but it was a project. It was like a documentary project that I did regarding the pandemic. I flew out to Washington D.C. in the East Coast to get some content there, and then I had some other people all around the states, like Chicago, back here in there in the Bay Area, LA, some people in Florida as well, shoot some content for me, and I had to do like a kind of like a small docu style video about the pandemic. That was my
Mm,
most recent project. Yeah.
yeah. So you didn't have to fly anywhere, right?
Yeah, I only flew once, which is towards DC. Stayed there for almost a month.
Mm,
One like 2 weeks of quarantine, of course. Had to properly follow through like those guidelines, and then after that, I went and shot around like the White House, like all around DC and stuff, and then I flew back to California and quarantined again.
Did you go right when the pandemic started? When the first lockdown started?
No, I flew into DC, I think around April or May. I waited 2 months because I was still doing some projects with the company I was working for. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, I decided, hey guys, I think I'm gonna take some leave from us from the company. I need some time for myself, and plus with all these procedures that we're going through, I need to find my place where I can feel safe. Also
mm,
for like my family, because my mom is a healthcare worker, so it was really important for me to make sure that I'm not getting involved with other things that's making it worse for her and my parents. So I
mm,
said, I don't think I can be involved right now in the industry as what we're doing right now, because there was some kind of stuff that weren't, we kind of wasn't going through with the guidelines, but it's a whole nother story. I can't really, I
yeah.
don't
Mm-hmm.
want to share too much, but that's why I was like, okay, I'm just going to do my own thing. And they were pretty cool with it. And they're like, yeah, sure. We'll reach out to you again moving forward once we figure out as well too, like what our guidelines are going to be moving forward. Cause I was actually in the casting scene. So I was a casting producer.
Mm-hmm.
Was doing all that, and I was doing casting for commercial and television. And with all the auditions that we were going through, a lot of it were, it's kind of like we were just kind of going through the motions. It was very normal, but of course, like with the guidelines had to be different. So that's when I said, since we're not kind of, we have to change things a little bit, I think I'll take some time off for myself and see what I can do. And they were like, sure, yeah, we'll see you in a little bit. We'll see you in a few months.
Mm.
Yeah.
One's still going too, huh?
Yeah, which is still going. Like I'm still on pause with the company, which was really because they reached out to me actually recently, towards I think around December, and they were just wondering like how I've been doing. So technically I'm still employed with them, but
Oh, okay.
but they told me that they'll reach out again once everything is a little bit more smooth, because our clientele kind of bounces back and forth as well too, because we'll get a project here, and then next thing you know, 2 weeks later they're like, oh sorry, we have to cancel this project. so it
Yeah.
wasn't really consistent. So they want something where it's more consistent for me to come back to work for, and I said that's totally fine with me.
I think that's probably how photographers are dealing with, right? Like J-Mar, you're like experiencing some limbo with project work like that, right? They would say they'll
Yeah,
have
especially
something.
like in the beginning. Like I said before on a couple episodes before this one, when COVID first started, I had like 20 projects cancel on me like in the weekend right after they announced the lockdown and stuff. So I was like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm gonna do for a while and stuff. But everything's bounced back since and everything. So I'm just chilling right now.
That's dope. That's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm glad that
Mhm.
at least for you, like it, is still flowing and everything. I mean, luckily too, fortunately for me, it wasn't too drastic where it's like, oh my God, I don't have a job, or oh no, like what
Mhm.
am I gonna do? But there definitely was that time frame where it's like from March till like August, I'm like, what's going on? Like, how's the company gonna be like, or what are we gonna do moving forward? And what are the next steps? And then now it's 2021 and we're still trying to figure things out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
definitely stressful.
Yeah.
when you're so you said you're a producer now. I mean, we introduced you as producer.
Yeah.
Um how did you transition from a photographer, a videographer into a producer? Because when we first were in the room together, it was you were more like a creative director, quote unquote, plus the
Mhm.
photographer and videography, and then you found like your calling was more of like producing, right?
Yeah.
So what was like the steps to get there? Like,
Yeah, I think when we were when we were collaborating together, that was a role I wanted to emphasize on as a is to be a creative director. I mean, beforehand, of course, I was doing photography. First, it was just for fun. Photography was just for fun. It was a hobby that I wanted to get into because my dad kind of influenced me, along with other friends in high school and middle school. And then moving forward, it started getting serious because I started getting gigs left and right. Like people started contacting me, and I'm like, oh wow, I could actually turn this into a career. And then from that photography scene, I started realizing a lot of the team members that I started partnering with, or my colleagues that I started partnering with, um, really liked the direction I was heading towards, where I would kind of give them the creative perspective, the direction, like the concept and the theme of the shoots that we're going through. And then from there, that's when we ended up partnering, us three. We had that collaboration that we were doing for a few months, and I thought, wow, this is great. Like the creative director role is actually something that I found that was kind of my emphasis, what I really liked the most. But beyond that, I had already like a goal or purpose like through my life or my career with art. Because a little backstory, I moved here from the Philippines when I was 8 years old. I think I met Krisha, or is that what they call you, or Christianne? Is that a secret,
close
or
friends call me
yeah,
Christian. No.
exposed? So I met Christianne. I think I was in high school, hanging out
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, just doing some hood rat stuff. And then at that time, I was already thinking to myself, like, I need to have a purpose with what I'm doing with my life. And my purpose was, it was for my brother. My brother is disabled. He's paralyzed from neck down. We moved here to America because of him, so that he can go through hospital and go through surgeries here. And I remember telling myself, one day I want to get, as my career, I want to be able to be a storyteller. And I told myself, how am I going to do that? How am I going to be a storyteller, and what is the purpose behind that storytelling? And so I told myself, my biggest role in that career path is to share the story of my brother, of what I wish he could have had in his life. If he was able to walk, if he was able to, travel, do things that I did, do photography and have fun like that and hang out with friends. So then I told myself, even moving forward, when I met you guys, or like when we hung out again and then we collaborated in those projects together, I said, I think this is it. This is the path I want to take to show that I'm serious about that goal I wanted. So then I went back to school. I went to Academy of Art University in San Francisco, and then I double majored in production and animation. So I wanted to get involved in that and dabble in that because I wanted to create an animation story about my brother and produce that hand in hand. And after school, I said, well, this is it. This is exactly the career that's meant for me. And I think production is more for me more than it is directing. But then
Mm.
again, like directing and production, like or being a producer, kind of goes hand in hand as well. Production is more of like the logistic stuff, and then being a director is more of like the hands-on, in-person type thing, like in
Yeah.
front of the camera thing. So I really enjoyed giving the spotlight to people more than being the spotlight.
Mm.
So that's why I said, let me focus on just being that one title, the producer. Let me be the person that will help you be who you want to be. And so I focused on that. And then here I am in LA doing that for everyone.
Yeah. How long ago did you move out there?
I just moved it was about 3 or 4 years ago, 3 years, 3 to 4 years,
Yeah.
2017. I
Mm.
moved here in 2017.
Were you nervous?
I was scared.
Yeah.
The reason why I was scared was, I mean, for us, like living in the Bay Area, growing up in the Bay Area, we love the culture, we love the
Mm-hmm.
people, and we get comfortable with that. And there's just something about the, I don't know, the energy that we have there in the Bay Area that you just can't let go of. But to me, I'm the type of person that like when I start to become comfortable, I start to feel like that I'm not growing anymore. So, and that's
Mm.
what I was feeling there. When we were in that process, when we were collaborating together in those projects, I was telling myself, is this it? Like, is this what I want to continue doing for the rest of my life? And then I think I hit that like that point where I was like, oh no, I don't want to be comfortable here. Like this is fun, this is great. I see myself pursuing this even further, but I don't want to just stay here. I want to do more and I want to have more meaning to the work that I do. So I moved to LA, and actually LA was the last place I wanted to move to. I just really didn't like the LA environment. One, the weather is horrible here.
What?
Yeah, the weather. People love the heat. I don't. I love the cold. Like San Francisco, the Bay Area weather. Oh man, that's beautiful.
Mhm.
You're from the Philippines. That's like
That's the reason why I'm not there anymore, right?
That's
So
funny.
yeah, and then when I moved here, I was, to be honest with you, I think I fell into like this dark hole my first year moving
Yeah.
to LA, because I told myself like, okay, I'm here now, but what am I doing? Like, why? Like, why did I even go here? Like, I don't like it here. Like, I'm so bitter towards everybody. I'm so bitter towards like the environment. And then I told myself like, you know what? I'm uncomfortable. And then I reminded myself, that's what I wanted to begin with. I wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable again. So I needed to change my perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
2 years, 3 years later, I'm enjoying it here. I like it here. I like the people, and it's really opened up my mind about everything that I thought the Bay Area culture was versus the LA culture. And it's been great. I don't think I would be anywhere else but here in LA.
I think with that being said, though, with when you first moved to LA, you said you were scared. And
Mhm.
then there's always that part when like you're nervous and then you start questioning like if something I'm doing is right. And then you start questioning after a certain long after that. Okay, this is your moment to back out.
Yeah,
And then you start
definitely.
hitting a slow phase. I feel like you always hit the slow phase. I feel like 2020 was like that also, right? It's
Oh,
like,
without a doubt.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then you're
yeah.
just like, oh, okay. You find your momentum afterwards.
I think it's because when you get in a new environment, um you have all these like perceptions, like these like preconception of what you think it'll be like. It's always going to be like that. Like, or even for like photography, like J-Mar knows this, like when we plan out things for, or even you as an organizer, like planning things
Yeah.
out, and then you come to the set, or like when you're there on the gig, it doesn't always follow through. You don't always have a perfect plan, right? And that's what happened
Never.
with LA for me. Actually, I got invited while I was still at Academy of Art. I got invited to work for a company here, that was like my dream job, my dream career. And it was really at that moment they're like, "Do you want to take this opportunity?" And I should have. Like it was supposed to be like, for anybody else, they would have been like, "Yes, I'm going there. I'm moving in. I'm taking that dream job. I'm gonna fulfill my life in there." But for me, when that happened, actually, when I got that invitation, it was the time when we were still collaborating together. It was around 2015, 2016, and I declined it. And my parents said, of all things that you've done in your life, and you said you wanted to have this as this was your dream job, why did you say no? Like you've been working hard for this like your whole life. And my biggest no was, my reason was, because I want to take care of you guys first. Mom,
Aw.
yeah, like there's a lot of things that I still need to do for you guys. You were here, you helped me move here to America. And now I see that there are certain things that you guys are struggling with. My purpose as your son is to to help you, to support you, and be that reason, for your guys' life now.
Mm-hmm.
And and like, again, like I said, like I wanted to be a producer because I wanted to bring that spotlight to others rather than being on the spotlight. So I always wanted to do things for others more than for myself. And so that's why I
Mm-hmm.
declined that opportunity. But then when 2017 hit, I told myself, you know what? I wasn't doing it because I was being selfless. I was doing it because I was really scared, because I didn't know how it was going to be like once I moved to a new environment that I didn't know about. The culture itself alone, had no idea about. Even though, like, I've visited LA many times before, it's different when you're living in that, place. And so when I moved here, it was just, I kind of blanked out. Like, I thought I was gonna get the career. I went back to the interview and I didn't get it. Um, and they knew who I was. They were like, "Yeah, come back to us whenever you're ready." And then I got there and I was like, "But you told me when I was ready, and I'm ready now." But
Yeah.
it didn't fall through. So then I told myself, like, for, I would say, 5 or 6 months in 2017, I told myself, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's time for me to just go back to the Bay and just maybe try to pursue something else. And but I didn't. Something told me, just like, hold on for a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
See what you can do and see what happens. And that's what I did for, I would say, a year and a half, moving forward from 2017 until 28, close to 2019. Nothing. I felt like nothing was happening in my life. But
Mm-hmm.
but it was more
Pre
so like,
2020.
yeah, it was like right
Right.
before all of this. And I thought nothing was happening, but then I think it was just more so mentally, because I kept telling him I was undermining all the work and the effort that I was actually doing here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a lot of fear, insecurities, and all that stuff, thinking that I'm not going to be successful. Because if like, in the Bay Area, it's easy for you to kind of be like, oh, I know that guy, like Cyrus. Oh yeah, that's my homie. Like, oh, J-Mar, yeah, I know who that photographer is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that guy shoots everywhere. Like, he's in Sacramento, he's down in the Bay Area. Sometimes he'll be in the, SF. But in LA, nobody knows you, because everybody's supposedly a big shot. Everybody's a musician, everybody's a photographer, everybody's, so you're just kind of one of those people. And so that's what I thought to myself. I'm not gonna make it. I'm just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the biggest struggle I had when I first moved here.
Yeah, I think out there, that's why the culture is like very different than our. That's why Jamar always says "fuck LA." I'm
I
not
can't do
gonna.
it. I can't do it. I've been offered jobs and stuff out there, and like I'll go down there to travel and work. I don't want to live there. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is.
it's crazy. So here's a crazy part about that. My perspective, I felt like, flipped. So I
Mm-hmm.
always told myself, I can't do LA. LA is gonna be the last place I'm gonna go to. And then I chose to move to the last place I'd ever moved to,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted that discomfort. And then I got the discomfort, and I'm like, man, why did I do this to myself? But then when I started meeting the right people, I think all it really is.
Yeah.
It's just meeting the right people. People that you can vibe with, people that you can connect with in that level that you've had already beforehand. But then, but not only you can vibe with, but can elevate you. And that's all that I really needed after
Mm-hmm.
I started meeting people. And it wasn't like I was purposely, because I met a lot of people that would tell me, like, you should go to these events, go to like these directors guild events, um, go to this production guild event, or go to these open mics, or all these random events that you can get to, so you can be known, or like kind of showcase your work and resume and all that stuff. And that's the best way. That's what they would always tell you here. That is the best way to get connected with people. And I tried that. But I told myself, man, a lot of these people were stuck up, like really pretentious. Like, they thought that they're already big shots, or they are big shots, so they don't care about people like me. Oh, like, oh, you're from San Francisco Bay Area, huh? But here's the
Yeah.
crazy part. When I started to meet the right people, it was the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I had, if I felt like I had that close-minded mentality, where
Mm.
everybody else was so welcoming. They were like, "You're from San Francisco? That's awesome. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your experience there?" And from there on, like, I started just continuing to meet the right people, not only to vibe with, but to elevate
Mm-hmm.
me. They were
Mm.
helping me and motivating me and inspiring me to say, like, this is what we can do for you, but how much more can we help you pursue the things that you want to do? And I started to feel more open minded. I said, you know what? People here aren't so bad at all. And then I started to realize it's not LA people that are pretentious. it's not even the Bay Area people that are pretentious or like entitled. It's the people that choose to think that other people will just brush them off or push them away. And then you become that person that you actually thought that those other people are, right? Oh, that
Right.
person's an asshole. But actually, you're the asshole for thinking that person's an asshole, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, why'd you assume that? Because they're from a different location or whatever. And I think it comes from that insecurity, that fear. Like, how is that person going to perceive me because I'm from a different place or I have a different
Hmm.
culture? And so that's where I started thinking, like, LA people aren't so bad at all. And then, my Bay Area fans, like, man, you're so fake. Like, you go to LA now, all of a sudden, like, you're all brand new. And I'm like, no, that's not it. I think it's just about open-mindedness. When I found that out, I was like, this is it. I think this is the right kind of environment I should be in. And that's all I really needed to do.
It works for some people. It doesn't work for others, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have much experience with like living in LA, you know what I mean? J-Mar, did you try living in LA?
I just know I'd get lost in the sauce, yo.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I would
So,
I'm
end
also
up
here.
it would be a lot of like distractions. You know what I'm saying for me?
mm,
So like I know how to keep my head level, and I know if I moved out there, I would get lost, yo. I know for sure I would.
Yeah, and that there's nothing wrong with that either. Like
Hmm.
anybody that chooses not to take that route, it's okay. It's not
Hmm.
for everyone. And if you choose not to take that route, that's totally fine, because everyone has their own, path that they want to take. And as long as you're continuing to feel successful in what you're doing, then you're just doing the
Hmm.
right thing. And
yeah.
Yeah.
and there are a lot of people that even move here to LA, and then next thing you know, 3 months later, they just go back home. They just
Yeah.
quit. They just like,
Yeah.
this actually
Hmm.
wasn't for me, which is
Yeah.
Hmm.
which is okay too. Like, it's all right to feel that way.
And I'm
You
kind of
know,
exposing myself right now because a lot of companies that I work with in LA think I do stay in LA. And I just come out there
Just be like,
like
yeah,
mm.
they think I stay out in LA. Like a lot of people think I do stay out there
Is
and
it
everything.
because you act like an asshole?
yeah.
No, it's because I literally be telling them, like, I'll be like, yeah, I'm out here, like, just so I
Yeah,
don't lose
Yeah.
out on opportunities, you know.
no, that
Yeah.
But I'll just
that's actually
fly out,
good.
or yeah, I'll fly out or drive out. It doesn't take that long to get there.
Yeah,
I'll be quite
Hmm.
honest. Like I heard, okay, so Timothy Delgado,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, so he tweeted one time like a while back saying that it's some of the transplants that go to LA that ruin it for everybody else, you know.
exactly. That's what it is. And
Yeah.
when I say like finding the right people, a lot of the people that I'm kind of like giving praise to right now are the people that were born and raised in LA.
Raised in LA, yeah.
Like, these aren't the I can hands down vouch for that. If you meet anybody that, like, let's say, moved from Europe or moved from even New York or Chicago, and they went to like a fancy art school or whatever, and so that's why they're here in LA now as a director. They're usually the ones that are like kind of over the top. They're just too much.
Over
Yeah,
here, over here. Like
yeah.
hella fucked up.
You can talk to my assistant. I'm too
Yeah.
busy. That's them. That's them.
Yeah. Moving on from the conversation
Yeah,
because the beta LA
yeah.
debate will always be there. Um, Photography life during the pandemic. What's a struggle that both of you have been experiencing since the pandemic? And I'm coming to this because I ain't a photographer, you know?
Mhm.
So
Good point. Good point. uh,
exhibit A with my camera issues.
or just having an icon, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Rotate the lens. Anyway,
I mean, for you, J-Mar, like, what was your biggest struggle? I'm interviewing you now.
Well, I think the biggest struggle was just like I was turning down gigs because I didn't want to go to like Florida.
Oh, wow.
Because I got
Okay.
offered to go to Florida to be in the bubble, the NBA bubble, and I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, like I think the thing that worked for me was that I started putting out like small business promos, and I started
Mm,
working with a lot of small businesses to help them out because everyone was trying to ramp up their marketing to go online and everything. They have their social media presence like bigger. So when I did that, it like ramped up business like real fast. Like I was like fully booked for like months.
that's crazy. And this is all through the pandemic and stuff, like, as you were
Yeah,
like, as it
like
started.
from when did the second lockdown start? I think it was like in July.
Yeah,
when
it
they
was
shut
around
down
July.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like from July till end of November, I was like fully booked. Like I was working like almost every day. And like if I wasn't working or doing a shoot, I was doing like editing at home and stuff. So I worked my ass off because I knew that around like Christmas time, I was like, they're gonna shut down again. I know for sure they will,
Yeah.
because they kept saying like second wave and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I was like, I need to work as much as I can. So that's what I did and stuff. And they did shut down again. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Were you
Yeah.
kind of like a brand manager type of deal?
Was
Like
I?
did like yeah, because I mean you say you're helping them, so would it be kind of like a brand manager type of thing or like
I mean, I wasn't
advisor?
like.
So
I
you
would say
you were
advisor more as an advisor, not like a
okay.
manager, because I wasn't like
Mm,
managing their like social media.
Yeah, you weren't
That
like a
was
right.
PR or anything.
Yeah.
but I was helping them like develop their marketing strategy and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
also giving them all like the content and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like with the pandemic, it's crazy because yeah, like a lot of my friends, even when I before I moved to LA, I had friends already here in LA, and a lot of them knew me as the photographer. You know, like oh, he was that guy that was being featured here, and shot on iPhone, this and that, publications. But when I moved here to LA, my main focus was I'm not gonna do anything photography related. I'm gonna do things production related. I'm gonna be the
Hmm.
logistics guy. I'm gonna do all the back end stuff and work with film and stuff. And when the pandemic hit, it was weird. It was ironic. It's like all of a sudden people started reaching out to me again for photography. I was getting contacted and I thought it would be the opposite, right? Pandemic's happening, everything's being locked down, things are shutting
Mm-hmm.
down.
Hmm.
But friends were like, yo, I'm about to graduate from college. I want to hire you as my photographer for my grad photos. Or I have a friend that's going to do like a music video. We were wondering if you can take some photos and be the creative director for the video as well. They were just like left and right. But I think my biggest struggle wasn't that I wasn't getting gigs, or actually even with my company, even my company was asking me like, can you do this work? Can you go here? Can you like travel there? Can you assist us in this? Can you come back to the office? Like I was being tossed around left and right. So my problem wasn't I wasn't getting enough. It was I was getting too much. And then I had to like find a focus of what am I going to do? Like I need to do one thing instead of doing everything all at once. So
Mm-hmm.
I like declined the gig for the graduation. I was declining wedding stuff. I was declining any offers and stuff. I got excited about the music video, but that didn't fall through because of pandemic and stuff. And there were a lot of regulations and rules here for production stuff.
Hmm.
So I stayed away from it. But then the biggest problem after that is you were getting so much, right? Like you were getting called left and right, and then you decline a few offers here and there. Next thing you know, you actually don't have anything to accept anymore. And you're like, oops, like now
Mm-hmm.
what?
Hmm.
And so that part, I think it was around May or June, I started thinking to myself, I think I kind of gave up too easily on everything. I thought I was going to get more, but then it kind of became stagnant.
Yeah, I think 2020 definitely helped me realize, or helped me like not to get my hopes up about some shoots, because there was three shoots that I was really excited for, and when it got like canceled because of like COVID, I was like real down about it. I was like, what the fuck? And I'd be like hella down for like 2 days and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like now it's just like, oh, it's gonna get canceled probably. So I'm
Yeah,
just like, yeah,
it
oh
is what it is.
well, yeah, gotta just go with it.
There was this one gig, well, not even a gig. It was going to be that one project that I thought, yes, finally. Um, and my colleague from Apple, she was also getting hired for the project, and it was a test project that they wanted to do. I wish I can say the company. It's so exciting to just like, I just want to do it, and then next thing you know, I'm getting citations and stuff. but this
Fired.
company,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
the company hired both of us, or like reached out to us, and she was gonna get hired as one of the assistants for the project, and they were gonna have multiple like episodes. And so we
Mm.
got excited for it, and we're like, this is it. This is what we're gonna go through. Like, and it was gonna happen in October of last year. So coming into, I think it was June or July when we shut down again, all of a sudden they canceled the show. So then they were like, sorry, everyone that we've hired for this role, and I know you guys are going to be working. You guys were planning to be working with us in October. We're no longer going to be involved with that. We're canceling it. And so with my casting project for that, it also ended up getting canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I started getting thrown all these other projects for like a casting producing role, and I'm like, I don't really want to do I don't really want to do
Mhm.
this one. And um so that's where I started, like, I think I need to choose wisely what I should start working on at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has your company transitioned to doing casting over Zoom? Because I know
Yeah.
a bunch of people that have to do that now.
Yeah, a lot of our casting processes, mainly Zoom or like WebEx and
Hmm.
stuff, and we record, or we just have them record themselves, give us their
Send it in.
content. But the downside of that is because there's specific things that we look for in a talent, usually when we're doing the casting, and a lot of it we have to see it in person. Like we have
Mhm.
to see them act right there and then, or we have to tell them a certain dialogue that they need to hear. But when we do casting, like just via Zoom, or if we ask them to give us content that to just like upload, a lot of the times they don't even follow through the guidelines, and we're like, man, what
Mhm.
was the point of even like asking you guys to, like, like, it was really
Yeah.
frustrating because we'll have like
Yeah.
300 talents that we have to go through for that whole day, and then more than
Mhm.
like 200 of them like didn't follow the guidelines, so we're like, okay, now we have to contact them all over again and tell them to redo it, so
Mm.
it was
Yeah.
really
As
frustrating.
opposed to when you're like in person and then you can just tell them on the spot, right? Instead
Yeah,
of
and then we'll just
instant.
retake, like, oh, we'll do another reshoot real quick. I know
Mm-hmm.
we'll do another 5 minutes for you guys, like that. It was just a
Yeah.
lot easier that way.
So y'all been thinking about photography for like since like
For
ever, huh?
forever. Like,
Forever. Because
I
I know
mean,
you were taking pictures when
How
we
old were
were
you when you
kids.
started?
bro, I started, I think I was like 10 years old, 9 or 10.
Oh
Okay, so
wow.
when I met Cyrus, I remember like on
Hmm.
MySpace, and then they're like everybody's posing like
Yeah.
then against the car, just
Yeah.
like
Taking
with their
Hmm.
taking a
hats.
taking a picture like at the bar, like waiting at the BART station.
Yeah,
Those
yes, that's
photos.
the one. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like one of those things that if you always had like interest in, it's like it just comes naturally. I don't know. It's just like it's something that you're interested in.
Well, I've always known that I was an artist. Like, I was actually, before even photography, I was a dancer. I did professional dancing, like competitively and
Oh,
all
I
that
think
stuff.
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and yeah, I I always say that it's kind of a weird time of my life, but I think at this point now, I'm like, I think it's something to be proud of. But I used to be a backup dancer for like Filipino celebrities, so it was like,
Oh, really?
yeah, like
What?
like
Who?
I was in the show
Jabberwockies.
Showtime. Yeah, well, so we danced alongside with Jabberwockies and stuff,
Oh my
and
god.
it was funny. Yeah, it was all those, and then we would like perform at like Great America, and like we would do all those shows and stuff. It was crazy.
That's
Um,
funny.
but then afterwards, like, I knew I always liked photography.
Mm,
Again, also because my friends in middle school were also into it, and it kind of influenced me even further. So I said, like, man, I'm just gonna keep doing
yeah.
it. Yeah. So I
Mm.
just fell into it, and I loved it more and more.
It's a
That's like the
different
complete
type of
opposite of me.
What
What
is
happened?
what I know what happened to you? Like
Yeah. What
what
was
do you
like your
how is it the
process?
complete opposite?
I've told you,
You wanted to
Christian,
be a
before.
dancer all of a sudden.
No, I was trying to be a rapper, yo.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
trying to be
Oh
a rapper in
what?
2010,
What?
and the only reason why
yeah.
I got a camera was to do my own pictures.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
When
That's
I
And
really
so it's
first
funny.
been
met
like a good decade
when I
now.
first met you, actually, I always
Hmm.
thought that you were that photographer. Like, whenever I had friends that wanted to take photos, like kind of like import model style, or like
Hmm.
like with these other like models or anything like that, I was like, oh man, I know the right person for this. It was always just like J-Mar as the person that you should hit up, because I always knew that, I always thought that, like, oh man, J-Mar's been doing this for years, but I didn't know, like, it was like, nah, I
Yeah,
wanted to
I
be a
started
rapper.
in 2010.
That's
I went to
crazy.
school for sound engineering.
Oh, that's
So it's
awesome.
like, yeah. So it was like a complete different turn for
Mm-hmm.
me.
But
So
do you love the
yeah, I
photography
love
scene
it.
now?
I
That's
love
awesome.
it. It's still doing something creative and
That's
everything.
good.
So that's what I still love it, like, to this day. Even though, like, I do mostly like video work nowadays and
Yeah.
stuff, but other than that, like, I still love it. It's still a creative outlet for me.
Yeah. I think it'll never go away.
Hmm.
Once you have that like perception, like that perspective, even sometimes like I'll walk around, I'm like, man, that's some good lighting. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
When I go
Yeah.
with my girl to Sephora and shit, and we see like, the makeup ads,
yeah,
I just be like, this is how they lit it up right there.
yeah.
You can see all the lighting right here, and
Be
she
all
be getting
technical
hella
and stuff. Like
annoyed.
they have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
That's what I would do too. I'd be all
mhm,
technical and like, okay, yeah, I get
mhm.
it.
And I'll be like, look at this shit. You can see the photographer right there in the
Yeah,
fucking eyeball and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So where are
good.
you trying to like head to like now, like cause producer wise, right? So like what's the next step for you?
So yeah, my next role, I'm gonna just speak it into existence now. Like I want to work for Marvel. Um,
Nice.
yeah. So
Hey, recruit us for the next the
got you.
Filipinos.
The Filipino,
Filipino
that new
superhero.
comic story with that
Yeah.
mermaid or something like that, or whatever.
Wave,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
mermaids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, but that's my next goal. Like reaching out to Marvel, Disney. There's some few colleagues of mine that have been wanting me to actually like move forward with like reaching out to certain people. I've just
Mhm.
kind of been putting it on pause because again, like I want to be in a better mental space with everything that's going on right now. So Marvel is going to be my next direction. Hopefully it pulls through. But also I've been dabbling in with acting. So I did a few commercials
Hey.
here and there. So those were really fun. So we'll see what happens with that. You know.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about that you wanted to put on the podcast?
I think I guess like yeah, with the whole like the thing with the pandemic and everything. I know there's a lot of because I know you guys have a lot of like with your past episodes, I've watched it also, and there's some things that were really, really awesome, like with the whole cancel culture, for example.
Mm,
You guys' topics about that. I think I just kind of wanted to give like some pointers. I know you have audience that do listen, and some of these audience are
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of artists too. And I think with this pandemic, a lot of people have been asking like, why, like, what's going on in your life? How do you get through this process? Like, I'm struggling right now to even make ends meet.
mm,
Um, and or for example like that whole creative block thing like not knowing exactly what to do and how to be more creative in this process in the pandemic. I think just one thing I want to say is like just keep trying to have intent with your goals rather than having a purpose. I had a conversation with one of my bros I haven't talked to in a while too, and um I asked him because he's kind of going through this phase too, and I asked him like, "Well, how do you find your purpose behind all of this?" And he's like, "I don't have a purpose. I have intentions." And that really hit me and I was like, "Damn." Like that totally makes sense. Is like if you have an intent, like let's say I want to be a really skilled drawer, like I want to be able to paint really well or make an animation. And you say, "Oh, your purpose is to be an animator." Yeah, okay, your purpose is to be an animator, but that's because you said so. Like that's what you're thinking, that's what you want to do. But what is the intent behind it? Like, do you just want to be an animator? But what about animation? So he was telling me, like, have an intent, have small, measurable goals. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so create goals that you can measure. Like 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. I'm gonna go and draw head shapes and practice head shapes so that I can perfect how to draw a head. That's my intention behind this animation project.
mm,
And then let's say I want to become healthier. I want to have the intent to be able to run 25 minutes rather than having the purpose of being healthier, because it makes it a lot easier for you to motivate yourself when you have intentions behind those things, those goals that you want.
mhm,
And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, when they have that creative block, a writer's block, an artist block, photographer's block, because sometimes you, as a photographer, and I know J-Mar could vouch for this, you shoot so many gigs back and forth, you start to look at it and you're like, damn, all of my photos just look the same. But I want to stand out. There are thousands, millions of photographers out there now, but I still want to continue to stand out, and I want to be looked at as that's the photographer you want to hire. But how do you do that when you start to see in your own art that like, oh man, it just all looks the same? So when you have those moments of creative block, have an intent. And what I did for myself, like this pandemic, I slowed down. I said, you know what, it's great that I'm getting all these opportunities, but maybe it's time for me to just go back to the fundamentals. I moved to LA thinking I had these expectations. I'm going to be a producer. Great. Big shot. Like, oh, awesome. Like I got hired for a casting company. But now it's like, well, what's your intention behind it? Like, what are you going to try to do? And so that's where you come into that roadblock where you're like, damn, I'm not doing anything progressive. But when you slow it down, bring yourself back to fundamentals. I want to do casting. Okay. I want to be a producer and I want to cast talents. But how do you do that? You get to know talent. So you get to interact with people again, start socializing with other people that you've never met before. Reach out, be open about talking to other people, ask for pointers. Talk to other creatives that maybe have the same mind as you, or maybe don't have the same mind as you. If you're a photographer, talk to a videographer to get a different perspective. If you're a writer, talk to an illustrator, like talk to an artist. If you do PR marketing type thing, talk to someone that does finance, because you get to see a different perspective of that business. And then you open yourself up to a different realm and you're like, wait, you know what? I never had a creative block. I just kept telling myself I can't do it anymore. There's this book that I actually read. It's actually about mastery, like having the skill to master that one thing. But in the book, it was saying, no matter how many years you've worked on something, you'll never be a master at it. You'll never be perfect. You'll never find perfection. The moment that you start thinking that you're there is when you're going to stop growing. And I think a lot of artists, that's the reason why we kind of have the same message, but with different wordings, is because that's when we bring ourselves back to that fundamental of wanting to learn again, we start realizing, man, this is really how we become more creative. So as long as you start telling yourself, when you humble yourself again, because a lot of people do that. You move to LA and you're like, "Ooh, I'm a big shot. I got hired as a producer, or I got to work with projects and companies that I can't even tell you about." You think you're a big shot now and you're making all this money. But no, dude, you're just like a tiny speck in front of all these other artists, in front of you.
It's kind of like Kobe. Remember Kobe when his commercials? Like,
yeah.
Are you this same beast in a different animal or something like that? And he's like, oh, what does that mean? I think what I'm just trying to get to is that when you see people like Beyonce, everyone knows she's on top. But as like you said, you have this notion, like if you stop there and you think you're the best, like you're going to stop growing. Yeah. So Beyonce, she knew she was like the best, right? Or she is the best, but she kept mastering her craft. She gets better every time she releases an album. And the same thing with like all these basketball players, like Steph Curry. He could have stopped wherever the hell that he stopped at, but he kept going, right? So it's like taking in and learning more and being humble. If you notice when you meet Beyonce, she still stays humble. When you meet Steph Curry, he's still humble,
I actually had some friends that got to work at the was it Coachella? It was a Coachella performance that she had that was like really big, where she had all the drummers and everything, like the band and all that. Yeah. My girlfriend like watched that for ends and ends, like nonstop on Netflix for a while. But even on that Netflix documentary that she had for that, she was saying like, I know I've done this plenty of times before, years and years back, but I never stopped finding myself to become healthier, not just physically, but mentally. How do I allow myself to be healthier in this process? Because no one is going to take me seriously unless they see that I've grown beyond what I did before. Okay, like great, I did a Super Bowl commercial or like a performance before, but how can I exceed that in a Coachella performance? Shit like that. And that's what she did. And then like my friend that was a dancer for the Coachella set, she was saying that when she met Beyonce, she spoke to everyone. She asked everyone like, how do you feel about this? Because I want to learn from your perspective. And that's crazy, like being like a celebrity like her, asking people that technically, were way below her ranks, she's asking for their pointers, for their opinions, for their insight. And that's what you have to do. Like you have to keep being in that mindset that you can learn something from even the smallest person in that group.
Right. Yeah. Take note, Philippines. Well, thank you for the advice. Thank you for your insight.
No, thank you for having me here. It's it was really great being able to work with you guys before and being invited to this your guys' podcast was really awesome. I got really excited when you hit me up and I was like, hell yeah. I was like, hell yeah. I was watching your guys' stuff already. I was like, wow, now you're going to interview me? Hell yeah.
It feels dope because it's like we were just in a room once and then
here we are now. In different walks of life too, like doing different things. It's nice to hear and catch up with you guys too and hearing your guys' stories. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me.
I know it's such an honor to bring you on. Yeah,
it's so great. Very humbling experience for me too. And this also, even this was setting this up as a learning experience for me too. So
all right, lightning round. All right, you have three people to choose from in here. Who would you want on your team in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh man. Let's see. Okay, if there was a zombie, this is funny because when I get high all the time, like I'll have this
Mhm.
question all the time. Okay, there's the zombie apocalypse. What are you gonna do? But
Mhm.
3 people, I would say I would have. This is tough. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody because I think this is my mentality. If I had a choice to have 3 people, we'd all end up being dead. Like no matter who it is. But if I take care of myself, at least I know I don't have to worry about anybody else. But
Oh
okay, if I
my
had 3
God.
people, I'd have one celebrity. It'd be like a comedian, like Chris Rock or something. Like because I need somebody like
Sorry.
funny, you know, like I need somebody to like entertain me. Be like the whole world's gonna be crazy as shit, you know,
Yeah.
like people killing each other, like there's zombies and shit. Like I need something that will lighten up my mood or something. I need Chris Rock or
Okay.
something to like make me laugh. And then the other 2, I think it'd be like, I don't know, my girlfriend maybe. So I don't feel lonely.
Oh, damn.
You gotta have that, you know? You gotta have that,
You
you
have
know?
a point. You have a
Uh-huh.
point.
And then my
Mhm.
third would be just like it would be like somebody I meet as a stranger, like through the whole
Mm.
apocalypse. But it had to be someone that because if you have a stranger, you don't have to worry about can I trust this person? Because if I don't trust a person, I could just get rid of them easily. But if
Yeah.
you have
Mhm.
someone that's close to you, you're gonna be like, oh man, how do I get rid of this person? Do I gotta kill them? You know,
Oh,
do I
that's
gotta go to the
true.
dark side and just kind of like get rid of that person now, or feed them to the zombies or whatever? But a third person would have to be a stranger.
Here's the next question.
Yeah,
Say we're like in a, WWE SmackDown.
yeah.
What is your entrance song going to be?
Oh man, I'll make it like really dark, some like really like metal, like goth type song or whatever. Because like I mean, not gonna lie, I'm old, but I'm tiny. So I walk in there, they're not gonna take me seriously. But if I get something intimidating like a song like that, people are
Mm-hmm.
gonna look at me all differently. And then I come in there and I'm just like, what's up, dude? Just
Yeah.
hella chill. But I'd have like some goth hard metal type song and just like play that in the background. And I want to run in there like Rikishi. I don't know if you guys remember like that wrestler. He's like this
I
like
don't remember Rikishi running, but
no, well, not
um
yeah. Oh well, many times. But yeah, Rikishi. Like I want to come in there like him.
Okay, so here's the other one. If you were featured on the local news, what would you most likely be on there for?
Probably some stupid shit like burning my house by accident.
Oh, by
Like
accident.
yeah,
Okay.
not on purpose. I'm not just gonna. I just want to burn
What
my house today.
what would have been like for like cooking or something like that, or
Yeah, because I cook a lot. Well, especially like now with the pandemic. So I cooked often, but like there are moments where I'm just like forgetting that the stove is still on. Like honestly, like I'll
yeah.
cook and then I'll put like my pot like my pan and I gotta bake something in there. And then next thing you know, I forget to turn off the stove. And after I'm done eating, it's still on. And I'm like, oh shit. Like this is so
Yeah.
bad. So that's what it would be.
um Name one TV show that you wish that you were in.
A TV show that I would be in. Damn, there's a lot of TV shows I've been watching. There's this show, not a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people watch it, but there's a show called Superstore. It's pretty much like kind of like a parody of like Walmart employees.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be in that show because it's just like it seems like it's legit like a sincere experience of what it's like walking inside Walmart and how employees act. So now every time I stop by to a Walmart, I just keep thinking like, oh man, these are exactly what these actors are like in that show. So I want to be in a show like that because it'll be easy. Like you don't even have to pretend. You could just act stupid.
Yeah. So that's a lightning round. It's nothing hella bad. So it's just like getting those quick questions, but woo, we're
Awesome.
done. It's for those who don't know, we spent like 2 hours just chopping it up,
Mhm.
camera issues and all. But as always, Cyrus, it's such an honor and pleasure to have you on the show, and I
Mhm.
appreciate
Great
Get a
your
talking to
cannon.
you with you, man.
Thank you so much. Get a cannon.
I know, right?
All
No
right,
Nikon. No
y'all.
Nikon.
Subscribe, like, comments, follow.
Thank
on
you.
Instagram.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, we out.